Hi, my name is Gudrun from GE Designs, and this is our third session of the Quarantine Quilt Along. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you have been having some fun putting those B blocks together, or maybe you're still just working on the A blocks. It's all good. We got all day, like I said, because our instruction for this third part is going to just be about cutting those setting rectangles, and then you're going to have a lot of time to catch up before my next session. So it's been so fun to watch you. I just wanted to talk about one thing. Most of the comments in our last video session was about how your video feed was cutting up. Again, it's not on our end. We are recording fine, so we're staying strong in our internet, so it's on your end. So please, there's nothing I can do about it. So let's just open up the comments just for constructive comments and some questions, because I had to try and weed through all of those. I'm not seeing anything. Okay, so if you're having trouble with the internet, then make sure just to shut it off, take a breath, keep sewing, and then go to either YouTube or the GE Designs page on Facebook to watch it after we've done recording and it's been uploaded, okay? Not a big deal. We got all day, so just keep smiling. One fun thing, I just caught a comment on there. It is Allison Vaccaro's birthday, and she couldn't imagine a better day or better thing to do and spend on her birthday. So congratulations, Allison. Happy birthday, and I can't wait to see your Elvira. So a winner from our last session, we chose one of the live commenters, and our winner for session 2 is Marcia Baker. Congratulations, Marcia. You have won a $25 gift card to spend in the GE Designs online shop. So we will get that to you via email or internet or message. So just stay tuned. Congratulations. You get a little shopping spree. Now, it's been fun to see your progress, and you posting pictures of updates. So just a few that I caught. First off, Celine Perkins from Perkins Dry Goods got her blocks. Ooh, her A blocks. That's so pretty. I love these colors. Really beautiful. And then we have Dina's blocks. Really fun and bright with that stripe going through the middle. And then we have Jane's blocks. Pretty florals. Love that bright pops of green. And then we have Julia's. So fun. And she played with placement of the opposite fabric. So not using the same fabric, just mixing it up. It's a great way to do it if you have, if you feel like your fabrics are kind of not so wild and need a little changing up. This is a perfect way to do it. And then we have Karen. Oh, I just loved how this turned out. So how fun would this be for a kid's quilt? Pick all kinds of fun fabrics like that are really playful. Love that. And then we have Kim. She's getting started with beautiful colors as well. I love those together. Those turquoise and purple together is just awesome. And Lena's blocks. Let's check those out. Really cool fabrics. I love the way that big print cuts up. They're really cool. And Lori has a few done. I love that. Pop of orange in the middle. Really pretty. Lynn has her blocks, at least the A blocks. Really beautiful. Great job, Lynn. We have Melinda's. Also pretty floral. We just love seeing these bright colors this time of year, don't we? We have Nancy, and she got a lot done. Oh, Nancy? Her picture didn't save. Okay, sorry, Nancy. I'll post it next time. Sandy, her blocks are done. Beautiful Christmas. That's a great way to use those Christmas fabrics that are large scale. And then we have Susan Knapp's. So the quilt branch, look at those beautiful patriotic colors. So can't wait to see that finished. And then last but not least, I wanted to show you this picture. This is Sandy and her husband having a fun time in the quilt along. And I love his shirt, She Quilts, I Cook. And I love that. So she's having a good time in her house with her and her husband. So Thank you for sharing that. It's so much fun to see that you're having fun with this. And a lot of you asking about the playlist, comments about just playing songs and having fun. That's what I want. That's all I want from you guys. But we have a special guest joining me live. My friend Terry Atkinson has been sewing up a storm just about 30 minutes from me, not that far. So let's check in with Terry. Hi, Terry.
Hi there. Hi there. Good to see you.
You too. And I see some pretty blocks behind you.
I've been having a blast with this. I love it.
Good. So you have A and B done. Are you doing crib size?
Oh, I wouldn't say I have A and B done. I have a very short attention span, so I have half of my A and half of my B done.
Oh, got it.
I always can't wait to see how it's going to be. So I cut them all out and then I sewed both because I just couldn't wait.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I know you very well, first of all. But I do kind of have the same problem. I can never just sit down if I'm making 100 blocks or something and just start with step one of all of them. No, I'm just 12 at a time.
Well, so. I got to show you, Gudrun, a close-up of my fabric I got.
Oh,
that's perfect. The one I started this whole pull from my stash with. It's like I got to use the martini for this quilt.
Yes, perfect. So that's a really great tip. So starting with one fabric and then picking everything around that. So you picked colors that are already in that focus print.
Yes, and then the problem with the Stripology ruler is it cuts things so fast that I was able to pull fabrics for a second quilt, and it was all I could do to go ahead and cut the second quilt, but I thought maybe I should sew the first one.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. You know, and was a beautiful thing that I think a lot of people will get this quilt done today, which I don't think many of us
for sure.
I know, if you keep at it, and you know, if you don't today, then tomorrow, because we're all home. Now, any little tips and tricks that you came across making them?
Yeah, just go 90 miles an hour like I do, and you'll be done. I have the original Stripology ruler. I've had it forever, and I love it. So I used that to cut my strips, and it was time to do angles on the big pieces. I used my 60-degree ruler because the original Stripology is a little shorter, and that went super fast. And you know, I already told you that I pulled fabric for a second quilt. I'm also working on, so many other projects. So my cutting mat is a little messy. So my big tip is take your point trimmer and put it in your pocket so that in between you can just find it right away.
That's a really great tip. Oh, that's a great tip, because that happens to me a lot. I'm like, where is it? Where did it go? Yeah, either that or just pop it in the cleavage.
Oh, now there's
another option.
There's a plan. Well, I got such a kick out of seeing everybody see all their strips laid out and their fabrics laid out and their clean cutting mat, and it's like my house never looks like that.
No, I did a clean just in case we need to do some shots in here. I did a clean last night, but I didn't get to my fabrics. That's they're on the shelf, but they're not pretty on the shelf. That's 3, 4, 5 hour or day project. But it's going to happen during this quarantine, for sure.
Pulling through and this quilt, I actually pulled other fabrics and got excited for other projects too. So it's just now there's actually more mess than there was before I started this project. I'm going to get a quilt out of it, so that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
And Gudrun, I really appreciate you doing this project. We travel in our camper, and we came home shortly before all of this quarantine stuff started, and I was just stressed out. And having this project where I don't have to think, and you've done work for me, I just follow along, and I am really glad for that because it's been so calming and getting creative juices flowing, and I just am so relaxed doing this project. I'm really having a good time.
Oh, that makes me feel so good. But that's really the reason I decided to do this, because everybody's feeling it wherever you are. And I feel like us quilters, we have this magic moments that we have in our sewing room. And once you start playing with fabric, everything else kind of goes away, and then you start creating something and you start feeling good. Those endorphins start to go crazy in your body and you start dancing. It's all good.
We got those good music. I will say, Mr. Postman, I cannot get that song out of my head. It's such an earworm. It's just amazing. And there's so many fun...
Mr. Postman.
Yes. Wait a minute. That's been in my head. I actually started listening to that yesterday. I thought 7 hours. I have to start because I'm going to want to listen to it a couple times. And I started at the beginning pulling out my favorite ones, like another playlist. And then after like 3 or 4, don't forget it, they're all in here. That's all I need to do.
Yeah, we try to think of everything, but like I just thought this one, the Postman one, was funny because we are relying on that postman. So please do not shut down the postal service. And I think they won't because it's a kind of an emergency essential service. So they'll figure out a way to still get packages to us.
Fabrics are essential and it is an emergency to get them. So if anybody asks me, that's what I tell.
Absolutely. I agree. Totally agree. Well, I can't wait to see that quilt done. That is awesome. And a great start. Did you say you had another Elvira pulled or just other stuff?
I do have another Elvira pulled. Let me grab it.
Okay. That's fun. Because I have probably 3 more in my head too. So I don't know if you already have plans for a second
this is
Elvira.
one. I can hold these. Obviously, you don't need this much fabric for an Elvira.
I was just going to say, are you making a California
And,
cake?
the bonus on this is I have a backing that I got on sale. So that's the backing. Mm-hmm. And then I've got all sorts of golds and yellows. Fun. And, of course, I don't even remember the last time I made this fabric. One. This one's in the wrong pile.
Oh.
Got to flip that. This one goes with the one behind me.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so I don't even remember the last time I've made a quilt that didn't have turquoise in it. And it's just like my happy neutral.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's your thing.
So
I don't have a favorite because it changes every week. So I have to try all the colors.
Well, that's a funny thing because I always try and, when I'm working on patterns, it's like, I'm going to do a new color scheme so that it looks different than anything else I've already done. And it's like, then I go in my stash and what's in my stash is everything that I've already done.
Yeah,
so
anything you like.
It's
that's what I told people pulling. Yeah, when I was telling them pulling fabrics for this project, if they're going into their collections, is our stash, it's all going to work out. It's all going to mesh because what's there is usually what you like. Usually, not all the time.
Usually, in theory.
There are some unfortunates that creep around here and there and end up in your collection, and you have no recollection why or how.
Well, it's been a trip down memory lane for me because some of these fabrics, because we travel, like, oh, I remember being in Pensacola, or I remember when we were in Phoenix. And so some of them have really fond memories, and some of them like, where did I get it? Why is it here?
Why is it here?
No idea.
Yeah. Let's move it. Let's use it. Use it up. All right. Well, it's so great to catch up with you. I'm so glad you're home. So maybe not too far away, we can actually look at each other's faces in person. That would be great.
That would be wonderful.
But thank you so much for being a part of it. Can't wait to see that quilt. Say bye to everybody and say bye to Terry.
Bye.
Thank you. Oh, that was so much fun. Terry's always so much fun, and we can just have a blast every time we're together. And this is great that we can connect through the internet like this, and hopefully you enjoyed our little gab session. But the demo for this part is going to be cutting your setting rectangles. And I'm sure many of you are probably not even close to being there, but this is a really short, easy demo. So if you pulled all of your block A rectangles, the 7.5 by 21 inch rectangles, and done those, and then you've done your B's, you should have some rectangles left over. So from those rectangles left over, we're going to cut the setting ones. So as you can see with the Elvira quilt, every other row is set down. So we have rectangles on the top and the bottom to make that stagger of the blocks. So we are going to use the 7.5 inch by 21 inch rectangles to cut those. So what we want to do is just stack them up. You can stack as many as you're comfortable cutting at the same time. I just recommend looking twice and cutting once. So I'm going to cut a few here at a time. And whenever I'm doing cutting from something like this, I actually like to, of course I'm going to use the Stripology ruler, so I'm going to make sure I align any of the horizontal lines here on the bottom. And even though we have a straight cut edge here, I always like to cut through the zero slit because that cleans off our edge. So I'm going to move this up a little bit so you can see it better. So there. And so yes, I clean this off because then I know I have a perfect cut here. And then I'm just going to cut through the 11. Look twice, cut once. So these are our rectangles. Make sure you set these guys aside. You will have this left over, but these are going to be our setting rectangles. So make sure that you will need different numbers depending on your size. So for the lap size that I'm working on, I needed 8 of these. So I took the 8 leftover rectangles and used it for that. Now you might wonder, is all of this going to be my leftover? And why did you write the pattern that way? Well, yes, this is going to be your leftover, but I have a fun way to show you how you can use that. But the reason for why I wanted to cut it from the same fabrics they used in the blocks, I could have had you cut it from separate fat quarters, but I wanted it all the quilt to kind of flow together so you're using the same fabrics for the setting rectangles as are in the blocks. And that's the reason why I wrote it that way. But let me show you. You can take these. So for example, I love pieced backs. I love to use my leftovers to include inside my pieced backs in my quilt backs. So I took all of these. This is from the quilt that I have behind me. And I actually have a label that I always piece my label into the backs because I was horrible about putting labels on my quilts. So I started piecing them in. So I added my label and just a scrap, and then I sewed all of these guys together. And here's the deal. So if you're making lap size, the final size of the quilt is 63 by 84. So 84-inch long quilt. And so when if you were to do 2 full widths of fabric, that wouldn't be enough for the 84 because your backing needs to be about 90 inches long. However, if you do 2 widths of fabric, you'll get about 82 inches or so. So having this added on in the middle between 2 full widths of fabric, you get 10 inches here. And then all you have to do is find 2 full widths of fabric on each side and you get a perfect backing, and you save a lot of yardage instead of following. When I have to write a pattern, I have to give you the full yardage. So that you can buy yardage and piece it, all of it. But I love to piece backs, and so this is a little idea how you can save on your backing a little bit and piece a little fun strip and use up all the leftover fabrics. And then you also have the same fabrics, a piece of your backing that you have in your quilt, and that's just fun. It just makes your backs more fun, and piecing your label in like this, it makes it completely impossible to remove it or steal your quilt because it's always sewn in there. So I have my logo on it, and then I just write on there whatever pattern it is, date and everything, and I sign it. So that's all just in there already. Sometimes I forget to write the stuff until a year later or so, but that's okay. The label is at least in there and nobody can take it off. So that is kind of my idea for a fun quilt back. So let me check on your questions. See if you have any specific questions. So, and those of you that were watching after the fact, all the videos are now on YouTube. So the first and the second, and the third, we will do it as fast as possible. I love to piece backings. That's great. Everybody loves the idea for the backing. That's great. Any other questions on this? Nice way to use leftovers and get a label on the back. Perfect. Another thing, if you are watching us on your computer, somebody said if you have a smartphone, you can go on your smartphone and not use Wi-Fi and just watch. The live will do better on your phone just using your cell service versus Wi-Fi because everybody's using Wi-Fi. So Patty's asking, what if your blocks aren't the full 21 and a half? Do you make up for that with the setting rectangles? So if your blocks are not 21 and a half, don't worry about it. Just make them all the same size. So if it's 21, just cut them all to 21. Then you will just might need to adjust these. But however, I will explain in the next session how we can do all kinds of adjustments. If our things are not turning out right, I got fixes for that because I know how to fudge things. And I will give you all those tips in the next one. So, great. So you're loving the check-in with Terry. You never met Terry. So yeah, Terry is the amazing designer behind Atkinson Designs. If you know Yellow Brick Road, probably the most sold pattern in the whole universe, quilt pattern. She is the designer for that. So Nadine is asking, my scraps are too little, so I'm busy piecing scraps to make big enough for the design blocks. Kind of defeats the purpose of the quick cutting ruler, but fun all the same. That's great. Have fun. That's our whole goal here. So our new numbers of how many have downloaded the Elvira pattern, we're over 12,000 strong. And I'm loving that we're getting comments from South Africa, from Italy, from Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Iceland, UK, Ireland, as well, Germany, and probably a lot more. I think I saw Switzerland, and did I say South Africa? Hawaii, of course, Canada, all over Canada. I'm trying to count all the countries. And Australia is still asleep, but hopefully they'll be getting up here in quite a few hours, so we'll see. And they'll start popping in. But it's just such an inspiring, I get choked up thinking about just the fact that we are all sewing at the same time and kind of joining through just the thread of sewing and quilting together. And I want to give a big shout out to my daughter-in-law. She is a brand new quilter as of today. Yesterday they were texting me saying that she wanted to try this and she wanted to sew along. So went out and found a quilt shop open in Portland and got all ready last night. And so in my little break between sessions, I got to FaceTime them and they were working on it. She was working on the blocks and I got to see my little grandson. So that was just a really special moment. So let's see if we have any other questions and I will try and get to them if there's any questions. Jane is asking, do you recommend the Stripology XL ruler or the original one? Well, the XL ruler has kind of replaced the original one. It just became phased out of production because the XL kind of has all of what the original does, plus so much more. So I would definitely recommend the XL. All right. Somebody else has a second quilt pulled and wants to do a red, white, and blue. Yeah, just beware because you're going to see so many color versions of Elvira after this is all said and done. So you're going to want to keep making more. That's what's really fun with it. All right, so do we know how many we have joining us live right now? So I don't know if it's doing better. I think there's fewer people on the live session. So that's great, and we're close to 2,000, 1,700 or so. So that's fabulous. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. And like I said, just keep smiling. And I will check back in with you at 3 p.m. So that's in a little over an hour and a half. And so keep making those blocks. And I can't wait to see more. So post them if you are in Gudrun's Quilt Crew, the group on Facebook. And I'll scroll through. I'm going to work on some blocks now and try and get them all done before 3 o'clock. So I'll see you at 3. Hang in there.